Yeah. Mm-hmm. Think you're so damn funny, don't you?
I got notification that we're live.
Posting 420. That's 2 episodes ago.
I got 422.
420?
Yeah, I'm posting the link of the live, and every time Facebook does the preview, it says 420 State of the Community. And I'm like, no.
Facebook is dumb.
You've heard it here officially. It's been deemed it's dumb.
Okay, well, I didn't get any notifications anywhere.
Are you subscribed to the YouTube channel?
Yeah.
And YouTube says that we have 4 waiting on the link of the thing that I created that we're not actually in.
So give them the right link and they can pop into that live chat.
I don't think that's the problem. I think that maybe us being live right now is streaming to the correct video feed.
Okay.
And so how? But then why are there 2 separate chats then?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see a live chat with Sigma Wolf, myself, Cubs Out Loud.
That's probably
my live
me.
chat has me, or it just says Cubs Out Loud.
Well, it's good to know more than one of us can be in there at the same time.
I only see me. I don't see anybody else.
No, he's talking about the one that I posted. This is what we were talking about before we started recording it. It created 2 different... We have 2 different things going on. One is live, and the other one is a preset live, which isn't working, so...
Right. That's what I was talking about. There's
okay.
2 chats.
Now we go down here, and... I don't need the encoder. What do I want? Stream. Booger. I thought they were going to give us it as soon as it went live.
Oh my god.
What was that all about?
I opened up the channel and it was a Wix commercial.
I think it's comical that people can't see us in cam; they can just hear us talking. Like it's the you don't know Jack pre-show discussion. And only
yeah, there's no images. It's just the logo.
Right, that's what I'm streaming.
Because that's what we normally stream before we actually do the show.
Yeah, here.
Once we start the show.
I'll give you a little bit of the actual us.
To where we actually
I think it's like a 30-second delay or something. There's a delay.
There. That goes there with that. At least that's there. And then touch knockers. Now I gotta go back over to the about page and change the other thing.
Got it. Link has been shared over on Tumblr. What the hell we're talking about? Playspace Etiquette. Let's get lumber in the ground too.
But people can't see it. Damon is going. Alright, can I edit? Add to page? No, I don't want to add to page. I want to edit the event. Really, girl? Seriously?
Okay, well, we did pop up for a moment, and now we're not there.
Because that's what he wanted to do.
Okay, but why aren't we showing us?
Because he hasn't officially started the live stream.
Gotcha.
Finally, I found the fucking edit button. All right.
This is all pre-show, so it's like...
These are...
This is a standard video show stream thing.
Yeah.
We start off with the logo page, and then as the music begins, we switch into the actual show. This is what I've done this entire time.
Yep. So, are we... There, now you can see my shirt. Kind of.
We're not all branded today, are we?
Not all of us.
I can go put mine on. It smells like Evan.
So that shirt that Evan was wearing was your shirt?
Duh, they both wear the same size. Newsflash for the whole world that's listening. So, yeah, it was cracking me up because I saw that picture and I was kind of like, oh, Evan's wearing Chester's shirt.
I totally didn't see that. I totally thought he got his own shirt.
Yeah, because I was like, okay, is that Chester's shirt, or did he get, or did Evan get a matching shirt? I don't know. So, Evan should get his own shirt, which then you can wear.
Look at that stuff. Anyway.
Okay, so is this the live? That's the live. Close the other one. I think I updated the event in that thing. Blah, blah, blah. Fine, whatever. Are we ready to try to record the commercial?
Are we gonna do that? Or are we gonna start the show? Because it's already 12:35. So.
Well, it's not going to take that long to read a commercial script.
Uno momento. I need napkins.
This is called a typical Cubs Out Loud day.
Awesome.
No, we're never on time. We're always an hour late. It's like we're running on Ubergate time.
I can't see myself. How do I... Oh, that's bad. I can't see. Go there, go there. That's that. Close that. Activity. Oh, good Lord, I've got 4 announcements that we're live. Which one of these is the real live?
Awesome.
Really, Chester? You're comparing yourself to a door?
No.
What?
That's gonna be my shade all day long.
You're really begging for a hate fuck, aren't you? Okay. I'm ready. I don't know about the rest of y'all.
Okay. So, we're going to do the commercial quickly. We're going to go DCJG. So, watch your cues. And I'm going to do a countdown, 3, 2. I'm not going to say 1. And then, Damon, you go. Okay?
Okay.
3, 2.
Now, who ever thought we'd be doing commercials?
I know I sure as heck didn't.
Being that we're a smaller scale podcast, we don't have advertisers knocking down our door to give us money, but that's okay.
Which is why we want to take a moment and tell you about 2 really great ways you can support Cubs Out Loud.
Over 9 years, COL has produced hundreds of audio episodes, and now with matching videos just for you to enjoy.
This year, we introduced the new COL logo and launched a new merch store over at Zazzle.com/CubsOutLoud.
Or you can also use the COL merchandise link on our podcast website to pull up the online store.
Here you can take a look through the range of products, including t-shirts, hats, poker chips, logos, no, not logos, underwear, backpacks, and various other things with the COL logo on them.
And keep an eye out for new things to be added based on our interests and your requests.
We typically can be found showing off these great items in the video stream of our shows.
Also, to help with our new format for doing live YouTube video shows that help create the audio version, we have a GoFundMe campaign underway at gofundme.com/COLstream.
And this campaign allows us to afford upgrading the PC that Jeff uses to produce our shows. Plus, a better computer means better quality streams.
And thanks in advance for not only listening to Cubs Out Loud, but helping support the podcast too.
There we go.
Great practice round.
I think we should just go for it because we already know while Damon is the theater cub, he has never acted.
Incorrect.
I was just going to say, that was totally false.
Now, who would have ever thought we'd be doing commercials?
Because
he just needs to warm up and get into it.
I wasn't really caring. Like, I thought we were already going to be. I thought we were going to be doing this later, and I would have had more time to prepare. Now I don't have time to prepare. So.
Well, we would probably be doing it right after the show, and like.
I would have had time to look at it.
It's
not
okay, Damon. I feel you.
All right, so we'll do it again after the show. Now that you've all had a dry run. And what do they call these, Damon? Cold reads apparently are not our thing. So.
No.
It is my thing. So.
I'm usually better when I've had like a bit more time.
I read it beforehand.
You wrote it.
I did not write this. Carrie wrote it.
Hello. How can you not tell that it has my imprint all over it?
I knew.
Probably because you and Chester could have figured it out because you'd be like, that's not how I talk. Which means, of course, we'll talk about it later, but you could go ahead and edit like whichever part is yours or reword it. I don't care. It's not that.
Oh, good, because that's what I'm going to do then.
Nice. All right. I got my Burt's Bees lip balm on. Let's go.
All right.
Limited time offer. Don't want them to happen in a couple hours.
You know,
Yeah.
you got to keep them lubricated.
July 9th, 2017. I'm Jeff.
Who's your bear? That's right. I am your bear.
I'm Damon.
I'm Chester.
This room is a pigsty, and you're a dirty pig boy.
And that makes me Gary.
Don't hurt nobody with your bad self.
Welcome to Comes Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Indeterminate Length. One of the most shadiest shows you will ever listen to.
Now, for the record, you have said that before. So if anyone ever goes back,
emphasizing the point. I suppose.
If anyone ever compares all the shadiest shows of COL ever, they'll make a whole new playlist.
And somebody's like makes some sort of mashup of like all these different shows saying most shady show, most shady show, most shady show.
Shade.
Anyways, so things are feeling good and
So, what episode number is this?
Yeah, are we actually going to start?
422. And I did forget something. Hold on, where is it?
Jeff has gone off the rails.
Oh, Jesus.
Are you going to do the intro and date line?
If I can find the file, I forgot to.
Oh no! Hi everybody. Bam!
It's July 9th, 2017, and welcome to Cubs Out Loud, the Bear Podcast of Indeterminate Length. Episode number 422.
I don't think that's what we're looking for here.
That's what the three of us are looking for. We don't know what the hell you're doing on your end.
I'm looking for share.
It's not share.
Say hey, what's going on?
Oh my
She
God.
did not sing it.
Anyway,
I
Gay
thought that
points
was
lost.
Sherry.
No.
4 non-blondes.
Thank you, Chester.
I don't know.
And we're not even at that part yet.
Yes, we are. We do the intro. We go right into that. I know how this works. I swear. Oh, there it is. Hold on. There we go. I got confused, I suppose. Anyways,
yay!
I'm back in action. I got a 2 terabyte hard drive. I finally was able to figure out how to reinstall Windows, and my computer is back up, and hopefully not all fucked up because there was still issues, but that's okay. Which means that I got to do a little raiding in New Braid last night, and I get to raid my regular team tonight. It's so awesome! Instead of just playing Farmville and Country Escape and Tropic Escape all day. Don't get me wrong.
Back in action.
So, also, I am now on WBED.
Yes, you are.
Welcome to the latest bear community app to FAP to.
That's like 4 months old.
Oh, anyway, doesn't matter.
Don't be
It's okay.
shitty.
I'm not. It was just because you said it was the latest. And I was like, well, yeah, I guess, but...
Well, it is. I didn't state anything unfactual. I don't know why the time frame was irrelevant. This isn't a competition.
Is there a new one in the last 4 months or something?
No, there's not.
But technology moves so quick. I'm surprised there isn't another one.
Coming up next, X-Bear.
Why is it called W Bear anyway?
Well, perhaps if you had read the article that was in Bear World magazine that they had done an interview with the creators, that's a bear couple, maybe you'd know.
So, anywho,
And Damon.
are we moving
I've got
on? Are we
telephone
ready?
cute.
Okay. Yay.
Wait.
Wow.
Let me think of what's that phrase? You have no power over me.
I have
Anywho.
telephone queued.
Anywho.
I heard you, and you still have no power over me. It is
Hey,
now
David!
immune.
Be gone.
Hey, David,
There has no
what's been
power
going
over
on?
here. Lord, have mercy. Other than the showy, shady shit of this, so
now you understand why I say this.
I'm going on a glamping trip. And yes, it's a glamping trip. I'm going to Roseland
It's you.
in the next weekend, which is why I won't be on the show next week. It'll be the Appalachian Leather and Fetish weekend that us here in Scorpius and the Miami Valley Bears and Leathermen have been doing for the past few years. So we'll be going, and it'll be fun. It'll be us doing our kink stuff and them doing their bear and whatnot stuff, and it'll be pools and barns and rooms and whatnot. It'll be fun. It's always fun. We're going to get there a little late because Jim is actually coming back from a work trip to Kansas City that afternoon. So he'll literally come home, we'll put our shit in the car, and we'll drive the 4+ hours to West Virginia and make our way to the campground. So this will be, I think this is our third or fourth time going. Third time. Yeah. So Jeff Rockcup will be there. Ronnie, I'm sure, will be there. And a few other people I think I know will be there. So
Hooray for glamping.
yeah, because we're going to be in a cabin that has air conditioning.
Okay, now that is some serious glamping.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say, I don't mind sleeping in a tent, sleeping on the ground, sleeping on an air mattress. I don't mind any of that. Cooking over a fire, spearing your food. I don't mind any of that, but I need to have an accessible shower.
Yeah. So, Gary knows all about Roseland. It's you do. You've been something like that. You worked there years ago, something like that. Anyway, so yeah, it's
like a long time ago now.
Yeah, but it's going to be. I'm looking forward to it because I've been needing a little vacay. Yeah, and although it's kind of a work, quote unquote, trip, it'll be fun. So.
Cool.
Yay. Chester.
I got a phone call on Friday. Was it Friday? Thursday? I don't know. Someday. The past couple days. From the apartment complex in Columbus that I applied for. And they said, okay, so we've got through all of your pre-approved paperwork and everything. We're going to send it off to the district manager, whomever, and we'll give you a call back in a couple hours to let you know what the status is. And she did. And she's like, congratulations, you got your apartment. So, yay. I am moving from North Dakota on July 28th and making my way down to Columbus, and we will be moving into my new place on the 31st.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah, it's I'm already I'm very excited about it, and I've already got like half of my stuff already boxed up and packed. It's ready to be loaded on the truck. It's like sitting at my garage door just waiting because that's how badly I kind of want to get out of here.
Ho ho ho.
Leave the land of oil to go to a city named after a guy who slaughtered thousands of people and discovered the new world.
Cool. He's talking about Christopher Columbus.
Yes.
No, I know that. I know who he was talking about.
Sorry, I've been watching a lot of John Oliver lately too. And so there was a thing about Christopher Columbus referring to Columbus Day, and another one about the oil fields in North Dakota. So.
And last night, I took Evan to a drive-in theater. He has never been to one.
I have never been to one either.
I haven't been to one either.
Maybe it was a Midwest thing or something. I don't know. When I was growing up, we went to like 4 different ones all the time. It was like part of my childhood.
I went to them as well, like when I was a kid. Not very often, but we did. We went.
Well,
all summer long we would go.
At my college, we had like a couple times we had like an outdoor thing. It was a drive-in because it was like in the middle of the campus, and it wasn't like you could drive into it. So
yeah,
but it was like outdoors.
For all intents and purposes, it's basically the same thing. I mean, without a car, but you're still going someplace where you're watching a movie outdoors under the sky. You know, it's an event. This is the other thing. We went and seen Fast and Furious 8 or whatever the hell that's called. We've already seen it before, but to me, it wasn't so much about the movie that we were going to see. It was about the experience. Going there, being outside, watching the movie, going to the concession stand, watching all the little kids play in front of the screen. That's why I like going. I certainly didn't go there for the movie quality because it's crap.
Nice.
Chester, I don't know if you're aware, but Sigma is almost kind of demanding to be a stowaway.
I see that. Yeah, he's on the opposite side of the state as me. We're in the same state, but when you're on the opposite side of the state, it's a pretty big deal. It's like 9 hours from here.
Kind of sounds like when people talk about Pennsylvania. They're like, oh, yeah, they know right where I am. And I'm like, no, you don't.
No.
Because they think it's the
I'm
same
in Texas.
Well, they think,
I got
of where
better
they
with
know.
Texas.
Yeah, I mean, would they think in relation to whatever the most population dense areas are, or cities they know? So they might know Pittsburgh, maybe. But they tend to know Philadelphia, Harrisburg. So I imagine for Texas, it's probably like San Antonio, Dallas, Fort Worth, Houston, Austin.
I can relate to that because, you know, Adam that lives in Philadelphia, I think. He came to Drenched Fur. I talked him into coming.
Adam.
A Doom.
Oh, okay, yeah.
When I was talking to him into coming to Drenched Fur, he's like, "Do you realize that's like 7 hours from me?" And I'm like, "Really?" And then I get out the map and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I guess it is." But it's the same thing here. People think, "Oh, well, you live in the same state. You must be nearby." No, actually, we're not. I am like 360 miles from that person. Anyway.
What I'm hearing is it's outside of the circle of trick geography.
You can put it that way. I'd only go an hour for one. Maybe. No, that's not true, too. I've gone to Winnipeg before to hook up with somebody.
Well,
Winnipeg
interesting.
in Canada.
I've crossed borders.
He's quite the international supporter.
True.
I have had my fair share of international sex.
No.
Anyway, Gary, what's going on with you?
Actually, not too much other than it's July. So this month is supposed to be not as busy, but I don't know if that's going to be true. I have a lot of stuff to get done this month, including I have 3 crazy weeks of work, so I'm not probably going to be real happy about that. But I've got a major project for work that has been kind of handed to me forcefully, basically, that I have to work on and get accomplished. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. So that's kind of it. I mean, there's not a whole lot event-wise going on, which I'm actually pleased by. Nothing against the month of June, but it was a lot of traveling. It was very, as my Drew pointed out to me, we spent 3 weekends out of 4 together. So there was a lot of stuff going on. But that's that's kind of it for me.
Now, with that, we are going into this. Sorry, I don't have the fancy other version of the clip that Gary has, but you know.
No, that's okay. This one works. I mean, this is the one everyone knows.
Yeah. Anyways, Gary, what's been going over in Facebook land?
Okay, so we're doing the thing that we don't like to do, which is a massive update of likes and things for feedback. So I have the challenge of explaining or trying to pronounce, there we go, the first 2 Facebook likes, because they are in a language that is not English, that I don't know. But I'm going to do the best I can and then run through the rest of them. So these individuals have liked our Facebook page, and we would like to thank them for doing that. First off, we have Atman Al-Khatib, and then we also have Bahibu Alakanya Alaruja, which I think I totally slaughtered, but there you go. And then we also would like to thank Chrissy Brewer, Victor Guerrero, Called Shami, Trez Daniel, or Trey Daniel, depending on if you pronounce the Z, Liam Diamond, Aaron Moberg, hey Aaron, Alex Salmaron, hey Alex, and Curtis Stephen, Mike A. Miller, hey Mike, Ryan Jose Espinoza, what up Ryan, and Eric James, Kyle Trom, hey Kyle, David B. Johnson, Derek Owen Paramore, Lil Eric Crutcher, and Reed Loveland, Dakota Green, Lucas Luis, Carlos Pereira, maybe. I really screwed up the last one.
It's just Pereira.
So for everyone a little high into, I know them. So there you go.
Yeah, as you can tell by the introductions.
Well, it's like some of these people are from my Milwaukee trip, you know. Some of them are people I haven't seen in years, people that have been to Drenched Fur, so, you know. What was that laugh about, Chester?
Keep going.
Uh-huh.
And for all the times that we've mentioned him, Curtis is smashy, so
Yay!
finally he's listening to the show or liking us on Facebook at least.
Well, or was prompted to. Also, for Facebook comments, I did want to make sure that we put this into a recording. It was already on our Facebook post and it carried over to the website. But for COL421, our last show, regarding it, Chess wanted to make sure there was a show note. If you listen, he was talking about a birthday celebration outing, and he says in the note, I realized after the fact that I didn't get the whole story about my birthday dinner. And then in parentheses, he wrote, I think I cut myself off because I felt like I was just monopolizing and rambling on, meaning last week when he talked. That being said, I wanted to make a small addendum, especially given that I was giving someone who wasn't present to defend themselves a bit of a hard time. Brady did sincerely apologize for initiating the song and spectacle debacle as part of owning up to it, and had no idea beforehand that I was so vehemently opposed to that sort of public display. He truly did feel terrible about it afterwards, but I was just in no mood to hear it at the time. He was just trying to be playful and funny, and so for those who might be worried about him getting 2 black marks in my little book, have no fear, most of that accounting business is done tongue-in-cheek. Brady and I are very much okay with each other. Cheers.
Hooray.
Yay! Although I want to know whether or not Brady still has 2 marks. I'll say it.
He might have 2 marks, but 2 different kind of marks.
Yeah, all in the good way.
That's true.
Well, he is off at IPC this weekend, so he's probably got lots of marks in the biting realm.
Yeah. He probably got bit quite a bit. Some might say that's shady. I say it's true. So, also regarding COL421, we got a comment. Greg Ballard said, I would love to do a co-host spot someday. Love this channel. Watching right now. That was last week. So we've already reached out to Greg, and hopefully we're lining up when he can join us.
Yay!
Mm-hmm. Big part is
Awesome.
timing. That's pretty much it. So,
Timey-wimey and all that shit.
So that's the Facebook stuff.
not timey-wimey, timing. Nice.
Timey-wimey.
Beside the point. Damien, who's subscribing over here on YouTube?
We got some new subscribers. We have Ray Vincent, Andrew Ely, hey Drew, Master Squall 88, Cody Broadbent, and Jason Simmons.
Welcome.
Welcome.
And if you subscribe to YouTube, you should be getting the notifications when we go live. So you can just pop on over there. There's one big permanent link for whenever we go live. So which I think we have somewhere.
Sweet.
I don't know. Maybe we don't. Over in the Bear Underground, joining us over in the Cubs Out Loud Entourage is Iloric73. So welcome to the Entourage. I didn't get a chance to look him up, but welcome.
We have a very long list of Tumblr followers and quite a bit of feedback on Tumblr as well. So let's see. Starting at the top. Everything on a Cupcake, Connecticut Cubby, Very Chaotic, K Puccino, Leather, Poppy Shampoo 29, Danny Dan 24, Lexter Rhino, Izzy Bear Cub, The Tumble Wolf, A Growing Bear, Wincy Cub, Platano. I don't get it. Bear Patrol 24, Mr. Coffee Dog, Tortoise on Its Back. Those are our new Tumblr followers. And then we've got quite a few comments. Rotunda Plum sent us a message, and he mentioned us in a reblog and commented, I'm looking for some movie recommendations. I'm after a movie featuring the bear/chub community. Romantic drama, comedy, all work. Not looking for a porn flick, but sex scenes are fine. I've heard Bear City might be a good place to start. What are some others? Maybe some ideas on the next Cubs Out Loud. Thanks, Tumblr folks. I know that I reblogged that, and immediately somebody had responded with Bear Cub, and I don't know why that movie escaped my mind because it's one of my favorite gay movies.
I love
that I
that movie
own.
so much. And it's really great that
I know
it starts off with bear sex.
I know that he has read the message where somebody had wrote in and said, "Hey, check out Bear Cub." So for any of our listeners that are interested in it, it's a gay independent film. It is about a man who essentially adopts his nephew because of things that happen, and a storyline of them becoming a family, and his family involves lots of his bear friends. I will point out that if you do not speak Spanish, make sure that you find, if you don't buy it or find a DVD to rent from somebody, that when you download the movie, make sure that it's either in subtitles in English or that it's English speaking, because the movie is in Spanish.
Trust me, the subtitles is better for this, in my humble opinion, just because of the nuances on how they speak. So
it is. And I think it's a really great movie, and it's not like your typical gay movie where it's just a really thin plot line. But yeah, go check that out. Rotunda Plum in regards to COL422 State of the Community 2017. Wish I could have stayed for more of the live stream. You missed so many of Gary's faces on podcast version. Great list of some Pride documentaries to watch. Check the show notes. And then we have first Ronin in regards to COLSP06 Daddy's Day Storytime 2017. And this is directed to Hadrian, who read these stories. I just want to say that you have an amazing voice. No matter what you're reading or saying, you make me melt a little. So we'll make sure that Hadrian gets your message.
There's a reason why you was selected for this job.
And then lastly, any plus Ultra Bears in regard to COLSP06, Daddy's Day Storytime 2017. He commented, "Now that's what I call late Sunday night delight."
You're welcome.
Sweet.
So there we go. That's our feedback.
So, in other words, people are telling us they like the Daddy's Day show.
Yes.
I wonder why. All right.
Daddy.
So, moving on. First off, apparently we have an additional part of a topic. Gary?
No. Sorry, I just threw it into the thing. Just so everybody knows, I put in the link on our show notes, which will come out later. The article that I was referencing about the interview with the guys that created W Bear, the app. This goes back to when today Chester said, what does the W stand for? It's explained in the article, in the interview. So
cool.
I didn't know where else to put it in the doc. So I was like, we were able to throw that down.
Alright. So it's time for this.
Let's talk about sex.
Yes, I found it quickly enough. So Gary, what are we talking about this week?
This is a throwback to a previous show, and I don't remember which serial episode it was. Somewhere in the midst of it, we had a conversation, and this kind of was an offshoot that maybe we should talk about it. So here it is, Playspace Etiquette. For the record, this is not about play spaces in leather space, community events or that type of thing. That's a different kind of play space. I can't talk today. Great. This is about play spaces that are either impromptu or most likely pre-existing or arranged. So they could be at the back of a bar, let's say, maybe at a ABS, an adult bookstore, or probably what I think most people would be familiar with is if you go to an event like a bear run.
Bear run.
And that some events still do them, some
Hospitality
are not.
Well, okay. Here's the
there's
thing.
a reason why I did the quotes. Go on, Gary.
Okay.
Not all hospitality suites are called actual hospitality suites.
Exactly. That's why I use the quotes. Because if you go to TBRU or Hibernation, they say hospitality suite, and it means you go in there, you get food, you get drinks, you get refreshments, you can socialize. But then there's other places that call it hospitality suites, and you can get
dick.
Well, so this is the only here with bear events are the only places I know of that they will refer to a play space, a sex room, as the hospitality suite. Because I come from a different background where I went to conventions a lot with my parents as kids, and so there was legitimately a hospitality suite, which is where the food and refreshments were. And that's where people kind of hung out and socialized. So that's how I've always seen that. So it throws me off when people mention like a sex space hospitality suite. I'm like, well, I guess.
So what we're essentially
I think it's important.
Go ahead.
I think it is important that we talk about that particular topic,
Yes.
or this right now. The reason why I think it's important is because when I started going to bear runs, or even before I started going to bear runs, people would tell me that, oh yeah, they went into the hospitality suite and these things happened. And immediately I thought, okay, well at bear runs, that must be what a hospitality suite is. It's a back room or a dark room or whatever. So for the longest time, anytime I would go onto a bear runs website and look at the things that they offer, and if I saw a hospitality suite on there, I was like, oh, well, that must mean that's the orgy room. So to me, that's a negative stigma.
So, and one thing I do know is that a lot of these places have gone to calling it a hospitality suite, meaning there's food here and drinks here and whatnot, calling it a hospitality. We've moved towards that. Like, I think maybe back in the days, it was the cover. Because when I went to one of my first bear runs I went to was in Nashville, and they called it the hospitality suite, and it was a hospitality suite. But on either side of the hospitality suite was the other space, the dark room, the bed. There's, it was in an actual like suite, and there were couches in one room, actually couches in two rooms, and there was a bed in the other. And there was a central room that you walked into, and that's where like, oh, there's some like snacks and stuff over here. Maybe there's a drink of some kind. There was, even though it was a hospitality suite, there was still porn playing on the TV in front, but it was in that central room. Then like I said, off to either side were the play spaces. So, but nowadays I've heard them called so many different things. It's kind of funny. Like, just call it what it is. But I've called a frolic room. Frolic room, the dark room,
I think it's funny that there are runs that will give it a cutesy name like Frolic. Now, from what I understand from a run organizer and the way that he does his room names, it's to throw off the hotel staff. And that's why they use cutesy names.
Frolic.
Yeah, that's been done. Go back to what Damon was talking about. I actually went to a bear run where there was a suite, and that suite was like the organizer or one of the committee members, someone. They had, a suite, and it was two rooms, so it kind of had like a living room area, and then it had a bedroom. The living room was where the food and drink was, and was like packed. I mean, packed, like 60, 70 people in a space that's the size of an average bedroom. And then the separate bedroom, quote unquote, with the bathroom attached to it, that was the play space, like literally beyond that threshold. Walk through that door, that's where all the dick and ass is. And like, yeah, it was so like kind of confounding and confusing in a way. And then I found out I didn't realize that this was someone's actual room. Like I thought it was a room that they had, but I didn't realize someone was staying there.
Oh God.
Right. So after everyone's done, sucking and fucking and all that, like everyone gets out of there, and all I kept thinking is like, are you gonna sleep in that bed? Because like I would have brought a change of sheets. Right? For another set, like. God. So I've seen that done, and then I've seen I've been to runs where there is no play space. I've been to runs where there is a play space, and it's called out as a play space. Others, it's given all sorts of different names, including cutesy names that match to the theme. So
yeah,
it changes around, and also. Segma did bring up a point that also play spaces can exist in bathhouses. Although some people might think that an entire bathhouse is nothing but a play space, but I think he's referring to the public areas. Like you can hook up in.
Like I'll say, for example, where I'm going next weekend, Roseland. A play space there would be the barn. They have the barn there. It's called the barn, and it's a play space. Like, no offense, it's a play space. They have specific rules that state that it's a litany of rules. There is no play in public spaces, and that includes like the pool and the restaurant and the stuff like that. Because no offense, someone's probably done it. They thought everything was a free for all.
Well, this is why they have to say that no play in public spaces. And that was actually going to be my next question to you, Damon. This campground that you're going to, do they make it known that the barn is for play?
Basically.
I don't think it's... Well, I haven't been there in a long time, because I no longer work there. But when I worked there, we didn't tell people when they signed in, and paid, or whatever, checked in. We didn't tell them, oh, by the way, if you want to get your nut out, like, you go here. Like, we didn't call it out. It was just a known thing, and people found out about it mostly through word of mouth. So it wasn't known, but yes, there was in the rules that there was no sex in public. And part of that, I think some people get a little like, they get grouchy about it because they think, it's specifically for Roseland, it's all male, it's clothing optional. What's the big fucking deal? Well, the big fucking deal is not everybody wants to watch everybody else have sex.
True.
So it's a business, which is not a bathhouse. Therefore, while nudity is fine, but it's like, if you want to get your freak on, that's fine. Like, take it back to your place, which could be a cabin, could be a tent, could be a room, or take it to one of the spaces that's okay. Part of it also is you never know who's in the crowd. Yeah. So a weekend is mostly guests that want to be there for the weekend. But during the week, at least when I worked there, we had contractors that came in on property to do services, whether it be, to take out the trash, to make a delivery, shipments, insurance adjusters. I mean, like all sorts of individuals could come by, and that's why the rules kind of adjusted sort of midweek, even including like the clothing optional piece towards main camp or main camp. But I think your question though, Chester, is about, is it clearly stated or clearly known?
No.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody ever does that. Like, I don't know offhand of a bear run that I've been to where they flat out say, this room is where you fuck. Do you know what I mean? Like, I think everybody kind of like says different things and people kind of talk about it, but they don't really.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been to runs where they will say room 241 is the play space. They don't actually say what happens in the play space, but you don't have to be a rocket surgeon to figure it out.
Rocket surgeon. What was that? But no, that's the thing. Like, the many runs I've been to, one of the things that has kind of been, it's become more, what's the word I'm looking for? Not blasé. It's where before it was a secret. Like in the day, like in past, there was like, oh, here's the after hours room, or here's the dark room, or whatever. It was always like, but it wasn't like on the schedule. When I first started going to runs, it wasn't like like you said, this is the room where you go to fuck. It was not on like the actual schedule. Now they've kind of been putting it on there. They've made it part of the run. If sometimes it's, part of the theme of the run, like this is the Centurion bathroom or, whatever.
Centurion bathroom.
Yeah. Anyway, just things coming on my mind. But I think it has a lot to do with the fact that people have learned that if you're not blatant about it, people are going to ask, and they're going to get pissed off because there wasn't a space at all. And you go, well, no, there was a space. You just needed to ask for it.
Or my favorite part is at my event, certain individuals come up and talk to me and ask me where the play space is. Notably, I usually get a giggle out of one particular, not a specific person, but usually once a year, a person, not the same one, comes up and says to me, everyone keeps asking me where the play space is. Why are they asking me? My thought on it is probably because you have a reputation, girl, and that's why they're asking. They they want to know when they can schedule. But I don't say that. I just
I'm curious who they're asking.
No, I just say, well, and here it's this room, and just kind of let it go at that. Don't make a big deal of it per se.
Yeah. I think now with apps and yaps and whatnot for things you can kind of make it a little bit more well known. It's not such a big secret, especially at bear runs. Now, one of the things you should always realize is that, no offense, you can make your own play space, playroom, what have you, if that is what you intend to do for the weekend. I've known many a bear that goes to a run or goes to a function and they pronounce, my room is going to be a play space. We're going to do stuff like this. We're going to have I'm going to have a play party from such and such time to such and such time.
I want to have an orgy.
Yeah. I mean, Damon Chester and I have all been to an event where there are rooms that face inwards that have big windows. And Damon, you and I were together at a specific year of this event that someone actually put a big ass sign in their window that was like advertising what they wanted to do and listed their cell phone number so you could call or text them to hook up, which to me was the most blatant, like, my room is a play space selectively. So I was like, wow, okay.
I wouldn't necessarily say that I turned my room into a play space, but I definitely like to do BDSM type activities with my curtains drawn open so people can see in.
Because you're an exhibitionist.
Yeah,
right.
I'm not inviting people to join. Right. I'm inviting people to watch.
Yeah, I think that's on the border. Like, I think it's a little different because it's not a play space. It's just, hey, a bunch of stuff might be happening in here, and y'all are welcome to be the audience.
Right.
So, and some people are very, they're very on about that. They don't mind, people watching. So.
Thank you, Drew, for the perfect thing. The Mingle Manor or the Penis Palace. Perfect.
I don't know. I think Sigma Wolves is kind of funny. Hole and pole room.
Yeah.
So
I guess we should actually get into etiquette.
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going to go. I've only ever been in a dark room at a bear room or bear run. Making sure I think about this. Exactly 3 times. One of the times I was showing my friend Andrew what a dark room was going to be like. And I was there to be his handler solely to just make sure people didn't take advantage of him. Because he's young and he's inexperienced, doesn't know these things. And then the other 2 times that I was in a... Oh, sorry. It should be 4 times. The other 2 times that I played in one, I played with the same exact person on both occasions with the intention of playing with that person. Like, we set it up prior to going down there. Hey, do you want to go to the playroom with me so we can play? Because I'm an exhibitionist. And then that brings me to the very first time I was ever in one, and I didn't play at all because I was too freaked out by the whole experience. So my question is, going in there, I have no idea what to expect, what kind of rules to adhere to, what kind of unspoken rules there are. So for me, I was tapping into my BDSM side, and if this was in a leather space, how would one react? And that is how I steered my way through it.
Yeah, so I'm glad you brought that up, Chester, because there is notably different behavior personalities that present themselves, I think, in play spaces. If you come from the leather community background, whether you are active in the community or you've had experience in it, you probably are familiar with the concept of like how you behave protocol, that you know, it's kind of a don't speak until spoken to, like you mind yourself, you don't make a spectacle per se, and you certainly don't, you know, turn into Stadler and Waldorf from the Muppets and start critiquing or, you know, commenting out loud. Back to the one thing that you said is, to my knowledge to date, and I could be wrong about this, in fact I'd really like someone to comment or contact us, I don't know of a bear run that has actually put up rules, like posted like publicly or right outside the door or whatever, here are the rules of the playground. Now the reason I bring that up is because my actual event has talked about that years ago. We had unfortunately in one year something that happened that someone was just being really inappropriate and vocal and said things that really pissed off somebody else. And so we kind of debated on like, how do we handle this, you know? And because it's, the thing about a play space is, for those that aren't aware, most individuals, in my opinion, are going to a play space to have a hookup, like to get off. Some people go there to go back to their room, let's say if we're talking about bear runs. Other people just go there because they just want to get off. And there's an anonymity factor that kind of plays into it. There's a mysterious stranger element. And that's not everybody's game, and that's fine. But you need to know that going in, because this isn't the people aquarium or the, you know, the slut zoo, whatever you want to call it. This is not about watching other people and making it, you know, into a thing, so to speak. So that means when you show up, your best reference is to just observe and then deem from there how to go forward. But some people don't do that, and this is kind of in the don't category for me. No one wants to listen to you, you know, give your Mutual of Omaha narrator voice over what the hell's happening in the space.
I'm glad that you're bringing this up.
Yeah, because for me, that's Go ahead, Chester.
The very first dark room that I had gone into that was not BDSM related. And it's good that we have made it clear that we are not talking about BDSM play spaces, because they are very different now that I've had experience in them. When I went into my very first dark room at a bear run, there was a gentleman who was very loud because he was very drunk. And he thought that it was just fucking hilarious that there were people in this room having sex. And at some point, I remember standing in the room, and my anxiety is just off the charts trying to deal with all of this coming in at me. And this jerk-off walks into the room, and he's like, I got my Subway! Really loud. And I was just like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my God.
There was another point where he had made some comment about, he was giving commentary about the people having sex in front of him.
girl.
Like,
No.
it was almost like he was watching porn. He's like, "Oh yeah, you take that dick," and he was very loud about it. And it wasn't that he didn't have, like, he was doing it to be obnoxious because he was drunk. It wasn't like this was in his normal nature. And if it was his normal nature, well, then the guy has his own issues.
Yeah.
But it was more to the point of this guy's drunk, and he's just being obnoxiously drunk.
So my kind of overall blanket rule when I think about play spaces, where no matter where it is be respectful. Meaning, like, there's no need to yell, there's no need to be loud, there's no need to point out things, there's no need to gawk and stare and make fun. There's no need for that in any kind of play space playing it. Stop it. Of any kind. It detracts from what's going on. You know what's going on. No offense, no matter, people are there to get their jollies. If you don't know, the only reason I can understand is if you've never been in the space. And by the time you get into space, if your senses don't tell you, if the sounds if nothing sensual tells you, you'll find out pretty quickly because something will happen. Like, you'll see something or you'll hear something. So the way I think of it is, there's no need to make a spectacle of yourself, and there's no need to make a spectacle of others. Because to me, it's all about, we're all here, we're all, enjoying ourselves, we're all doing whatever we want, not whatever we want, but we're doing this thing, and we all have our different reasons for being there. So, be respectful of that. There's no need to be a dick while there's dick going on. So, yeah.
At that same particular run with the guy yelling about the food and whatever, there were people on their cell phone, which I thought was very odd.
Girl.
Because you're in basically a pitch black room with the exception of lights solely for the purpose of safety. Like the exit sign above the door, or a light near the doorway so that you could see in, or the light coming in through the hallway from the door. But for the most part, it's completely pitch black. And I always find it odd when I walk in there and I see people on their cell phone. Like, I don't know what bothers me more about it. It's the fact that they're on their phone and they're producing this glow, or that they could possibly be taking photographs.
So rule number 2 is one of my big ones. If you need to make a call, or if you need to look at your phone or figure out what time or what the fuck ever, you make it quick. Because, again, the purpose of this room is as you mentioned, is the anonymity of it. Sometimes you, like Chester, yes, you brought someone there. And sometimes people have done that. But you're still in this room. I think there's I don't want to call it a safe space. That just sounds like too much. But these spaces are meant to be fun and carefree, and you're enjoying the sex that you are having with the person you're with, or if you're an exhibitionist, you're allowing people to see what you're doing, or if you're a voyeur, you're watching what people, you enjoy watching what other people are doing. But the minute you bring out a cell phone or what have you, there is this instant change of the whole thing. You're either trying to shine a light so you can see someone, or you're potentially, like you said, potentially taking videos or photos or what have you, which, I mean, big faux pas. Or you're, I mean, I get that you want to look at your time, or maybe your phone vibrates in your pocket and you want to check on something. Maybe you have a partner that's checking to see where the fuck you are. You have friends that are looking for you. Maybe you want to do that. But I've always been the big believer of, don't, the little watches that had at the time had the little lights on them. There was those kind of things. You don't want to put too much light into the room, because that breaks the overarching nonverbal, rule of like keeping it anonymous.
Right.
I really think they should have, like, one of those old, like, and stand digital clocks that just glow the numbers, so that people, if they want to know what time it is, they can just look over at that, and it's really kind of like just a soft glow. That way people don't even need to pull up their phone to check the time. They just look over at the thing.
Or put a sign out in front of the door that said, no cell phones allowed.
Yeah, I would think that being in a dark room, you're going to be naked. Leave your phone in your room or something. Just, you're busy. You don't need to deal with your phone. For Christ's sakes.
Well, that's part of why we're having this show topic is a discussion, because I think people do not know what, for lack of a better reference, Mr. Sir Manners says about, how do you handle being in a play space and what is acceptable and considered inappropriate behavior for that. Yes, a device can be helpful if you can't see and or need to know the time. That's one thing. But realize that you're probably not there by yourself and there are others. So every action that you take is going to have an effect on other individuals. And not everyone is down with having bright lights shine all over the room or that there is a device that can capture their image or their sound for that matter. And therefore, I can see why people wouldn't leave their device behind. Like, well, you can put a sign out, unless you have someone standing sentry outside the door, patting people down, checking every single individual as they go in, which is complete violation of their space and their property. You just have no control over that. So it's more about people's best behavior
judgment
when they go into the space and what they do.
Yeah. So let's talk about I'm going to use the broad spectrum term, but I'm going to call it what it is. Let's talk about consent. Briefly, in a sense, the sense of the space, a play space that is non-leather kink related. To me, there is a level of consent, and it's a very simple one. If someone says no, they mean no. And that, I think, is an overall rule to any space I've been in. If I say no, or if I give some kind of cue that I am not interested or I don't want it, then you do not pursue.
Right.
Like,
so a nonverbal cue is you move. They physically either move you or they move. Right.
Yeah.
So
or
they will
my
take
thing
hand,
is
they will take your hand and move it away. They will take your head and move it away. Like they will push you away, not rudely, not physically, to cause you harm or make you fall down. Yeah. It's just, like in this example, let's say that someone is approaching me and they put their hand out and they want to feel my junk, but I'm not into it. So I will just politely push their hand away. That is your nonverbal, and that should be your first indication they're not interested. That is not permission to escalate and, be more aggressive about it, because they're not shy. They're actually telling you no, that they're not interested. And that should be the end of that pursuit.
Exactly.
Go ahead.
I was at a bathhouse, and I was playing with people, and some guy sat next to me, and he was just watching, and he was jerking off, and I'm like, whatever, dude. You're not my type, but you are welcome to watch. The moment he reached over to touch me, I pushed his hand away. And then this particular moment, I don't know how I should have handled it, or consent and all this other stuff is involved because of the space that we were in. He then reached across to me to feel up one of the people I was playing with, and I had to grab his hand again and move it away.
Well, and see, there's where I think you were kind of in the wrong, only because it's not your body. Like, I know that you were playing with them. I know that you were playing with them. You were playing with them, yes. But I've been in rooms where if depending on the situation, if I'm getting sucked by someone and someone reaches over and grab my nipple and I'm okay with that, I'm okay with that. That doesn't mean that the person sucking my dick gets to go, you don't get to touch him.
Right.
Right.
What I was going to say is, it sounds like, Chester, you were in a public space.
Yeah,
we
were in
a shared
private
public
room.
space. Right, and that's
were in
where
one
I
of
think
the theater rooms.
I think that's the difference. If you're in a shared public space, you have to own that as a participant of something, other people will have, by general rule, unwritten rule, whatever, they will have the general admission to participate until you tell them not to participate. But that gets a little wonky because, right, you're in a public area. That's why I was saying, like, if you were in a private room and the person also happened to be there, now actually it gets more complicated, because if they're there should have been.
Well, I do want to point out that the guy reached across me.
Right. That's where I was.
When
like,
he was
wait a minute.
doing this. Had he gotten up and went on the other side of us and was playing with whomever he was playing with over there, well, then I guess I don't really have control over that. And the person he was touching would have that say.
Right, so I think
I wasn't comfortable with the person reaching across.
Right. I was just going to say, that's more the issue, that they invaded your personal space twice. Like, once to play with you, and the second time they just disregarded like you didn't exist, quote unquote, to get to the next person, so to speak. And that's where I agree. I would be kind of like, I mean, it depends on my mood in the moment. Because if you catch me and I'm being extra sassy, I will record scratch stop everything at that moment and be like, really? Which I probably shouldn't do in a play space, because then that's when all the dicks go down and, people.
Okay, so now I need visual. Now I'm like, sorry, I've got it in my head, and I've gotten a certain aspect of things in my head.
There's a way to do that kind of quietly too.
Okay, you want a visual?
No. Is it? So no, I'm good.
There's a kind of a way of doing this. Kind of the oh really girl. Is you push the hand away and you maybe even grab it, just glare at them, don't say anything, and then just kind of motion to go around, just to kind of like give them instructions on what to do.
Yeah, nonverbal. Lots of non.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand the whole record scratch thing, but there's a way to record scratch, but not actually make the sound of it record scratching to cause dicks to go out. Cause his dick to go down, maybe yours, but whoever.
Right. So
probably.
I mean, as an example, I don't know if I've talked about this on the podcast before or not. When I worked at Roseland, and Damon was talking about the barn, when I was off duty as a manager, I was allowed to do what I wanted on the premises. I mean, within reason, not too crazy. Yeah. But I would go to the barn, and the seasonals that the regulars that are there for that season, for an extended time, pretty much for a month or months on end, they would know who I was, and that caused a little bit of an issue at first until they figured out, oh, he's just he likes to play, and he's not here to police us or to watch us, because that was the rumor that went around at first. Like, I was gonna report back to the owner about people's behavior, and it's like, real, whatever. Like, you ain't that important.
I want to be like, sure, that's what you're going to do until they see you fall to your knees or someone. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, right. Then they know.
So while I was there was an incident in which a guy was being like loud and just kind of verbally abusive and annoying. I mean, he needed to go. And everyone kept turning him down. And he decided to go stand in a corner and kind of pout. And he has a drink in his hand. And then he does the one thing that you never do in this particular space, because it's an old barn built in the 1800s and it is like 93% wood. He lit a cigarette.
Oh.
And in a facility like that, there's a sign outside. It says no open flame in the building, no cigarettes, no cigars, no smoking. So because he lights up, now it's a bigger issue. Like, first of all, you're just being an asshole. But now you're being an asshole who's breaking the rules. Like, established rules that are clearly, known. So at that point, someone came over, not me, and said something about, taking the cigarette outside. You're not allowed to smoke in the building. And he got mouthy and said something like, I'll do whatever the fuck I want. So that's when I have to take the dick out of my mouth, put my manager hat on, because now you're going to make me do work. So now I'm kind of irritated, because I was having a good time. Now I'm not having a good time. And so I walked over, to approach him, and I said, "Hey," I said, "there's a policy with this particular space. There's no smoking inside it. Like, you're more than welcome to stand outside, on the road and smoke out there." And he's like, "Who the fuck do you think you are?" Right. So now comes the make or break moment. Like, do I do what I don't want to do, which is like basically gonna break everything, which is basically a record scratch moment. And so I made the decision, and I said, "Actually, I happen to work here. So I have some authority to tell you that you need to go outside." And he's like, "Well, I don't give a fuck who the hell you think you are." And at that moment, like, people had already kind of stopped what they were doing. So, like, not the seasonals were already trying to, politely leave, not in a big parade. But I noticed that the seasonals were standing around, and I think they were all like, "Ooh, girl, let me get my popcorn, because it's about to here."
Yes.
And so I just turned around and I said, "Okay, so I don't like doing this, but I'm part of management. There are only 3 of us, technically 2 of us and the owner. So technically I report to the owner. It's really simple. Either you go outside and you smoke outside now, or I will be forced to actually take more action, up to and including getting the owner. And if I do that, you're going to be 86 and you're going to be removed from the property and you're never allowed back. So don't make this harder than it needs to be." And he was like, "You're just being an asshole." So then, of course, he kind of stumbles towards the door or whatever and goes outside. Now, by this time, the barn is pretty much empty. Ain't nobody around.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, God damn it. Like, you made me do what I don't want to do, which is to be the police officer. You know what I mean? To actually enforce rules in a play space, because it usually kind of breaks the mood. It sets people off. People, just get, if they don't want to be dealing with it. So then, of course, I walk outside, and it was comical to me because then a couple of seasonals were out there, and they're all just standing out there with their big, 60-ounce, mug jug with a straw, and they're all just like, sipping away. Kind of like Trinity in season 9 of Untucked, if you watch that in RuPaul's Drag Race. Chester and David know what I'm talking about. So I come outside and they're like, "Thank you for doing that." And I was like, "Yeah, you're welcome." Even though now nobody's in the play space, nobody's having any fun. I mean, it was like, and eventually, things kind of went back, but it was just, it's super annoying. And to tell that story is about the fact that sometimes you have to be the person that calls out bad behavior when it happens. And hopefully you don't escalate it. Like, you don't go high with it. You try politely to do whatever is necessary, whether their interest in you is not warranted, or they're being rude to people in general, or specific people. And then if they're not catching it or whatever. And if you have to, then you may have to get other individuals involved. And I don't mean other participants in the space. I mean, you may have to go get a committee member if it's at an event, or staff if it's at a bar, or a business or whatever.
There's a whole, like we've been talking about, there's a lot of unspoken rules kind of thing, and one of these big ones is kind of a self-police thing. And for me, it means if something's going down that you don't think someone wants, you can politely, not correct, but, look at the situation and see what's going on. If it's something you feel needs to be said, like for example, Chester, you're drunk, loud guy. No, that needs to get out now. I don't care who the fuck you think you are, but if enough people are having an issue with it, then enough people can just say, try to be, polite about it at first. But if it's becoming an issue, if he keeps going on, or people with cell phones or what have you, would you mind turning that off? Or you've had that on for a while. Why don't you step outside? It sucks. But if you're doing it calmly and quietly, without making too much of a scene about it, I feel it's not better, but it just keeps things from breaking the flow. However, there are situations, obviously, in this situation, the guy was clearly violating a rule that everyone in the space knows about and is supposed to follow. You don't smoke in this room, which is basically all wood.
Right.
I want to jump in really quick. 2 things.
Sure.
One, I do want to come back to this point of policing the room. But also, we got a question over on our live chat. It was from Fur in Teeth. Ever seen a couple have relationship issues in a big play space due to what one of them is doing with others or what have you? I have never seen that. Gary has.
Oh yes, I have seen it. I have seen the ugliness of a relationship that is not apparently down with what is going on.
Oh yeah.
I have seen. Most of the time it is the one half of the couple coming back, like coming into the play space. I have seen what I want to call desperately seeking husbands come into a play space. Oh yeah. I have actually heard out loud, like someone comes in with their phone or whatever, and they're like, "Robert, I know you're in here," and I'm like, "Oh, here we go." Like, oh yeah, it's been bad. I don't know if that's exactly what he's referring to, but I have been around when that happens, and it's completely uncalled for. But understandably, one partner is being very emotional, not logical at all. They are not thinking about the space that they are in, the people that are there. They are like on a mission. They are on a one-track mind, and they were like, hell no. They're basically having, a waiting to exhale moment where they're just going to throw all the shit out and they're going to set it on fire. And that's not enjoyable. And unfortunately, it really kind of ruins things for everybody else in the moment until the drama hopefully quickly is done and over with. Rarely does it stay for very long because invariably it turns into like a parent and a child, and one is like, not literally, but it's like one is dragging the other out by the earlobe, and it kind of, and then it goes outside, and then and everybody kind of has an issue from there.
And so Jim and I are, I've already established we've been in an open relationship for pretty much all 14 years. When we've gone to runs or events where we know there is a play space of some kind, we establish special rules before we go into the space or go to the event. One of the things that we usually tell ourselves is, don't let things fester. Meaning, if something's a problem, and this is a general overall rule, but if something's a problem, address it before it gets to that point where you cast all like logic and reasoning aside and it's all emotion based and emotional like reaction. We also have rules about in a play space. If we want to do something together, we'll do something together with someone else, if that's the case. But usually we do things separately. So if I look across the room and Jim's getting his jollies on, I have to be okay with that. One, because we're in an open relationship, and two, we've already established our rules. If it's a problem, I cannot address it right then and there.
Yeah, you have to do it afterwards.
You do it afterwards. Like, I thought that guy was a dirty ass, dickhole, whatever. And I didn't like what he was doing with you. But, so I can address that. I can't address that right then and there. Because, again, respect for the space overall means it's not just me and him in this room.
That's true. I think you could find a way to kind of begin to address it without it becoming a spectacle. I would like to think, and of course I'm speaking completely out my ass because I'm single at the moment, but if I was in a relationship, I would like to think that my partner and I have like enough subtlety in our communication. If I walk over and I'm not participating in what you're doing, and I'm kind of like doing things like putting my hand on your shoulder, like something that starts to give you the clue, like I'm not okay with this, or I need to talk to you, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like, maybe I, kind of tug on your ear or something. Do you know what I mean? Like try to basically get your attention without making it awkward for everybody, including the other participant.
Yeah, there was.
It could be done, but I think that's about communication and about how you handle that.
It reminds me. Sorry, go ahead, Damon.
No, go ahead.
Okay. It reminds me of the very first time that I was in a serious relationship with somebody that I noticed there was a problem with our relationship. I was at this bar in Lansing, Michigan, and it was, I don't know, 1:45 at night. And all my friends and I were all gathering up, getting ready to leave because we carpooled. And one of my friends says to me, "Hey, where's now my ex?" And I was like, "I don't know." He's like, "Well, why don't you go check the back room?" And to be fair, this isn't a play space or anything. It's just another room where they have other guests be. That's typically closed. So I go towards this back room and I look in and he's sitting down in a chair and he's got a stripper on top of him, like standing with his crotch in his face. And I was just like, what do I do? So then I turned around, went over to my friends, and I was like, he's got a stripper on him. What do I do? And he's like, well, do you want him there? And I'm like, no. He's like, well, go get him. Tell him we're leaving. So I walk in there, and I was like, hey, we're leaving. Let's go. And then he like shooed me away. And I don't know what came over me, but I was like, oh, we're not having this. And I marched over there and like grabbed him by his shirt and like yanked him up. And looking back on it, I didn't handle it well. But I was also 20.
Yeah.
So I didn't know these things.
Yeah. So I've seen couples, like there was, and I keep using Roseland. Roseland is a good example because there was a couple there. They had clearly gone into the room together, but they weren't necessarily playing together. However, they must have had some kind of checks and balances thing because they were always circling nearby. Like one partner would be playing with someone, and then the other partner would show up, not necessarily to get involved, but they would just sort of be there. And it was kind of cool because they were both kind of hot. But I was playing with one of them, and like the other guy came over, and it wasn't like a "Hey, you're hot too." It was a like, so not really what's going. He didn't even like verbally ask anything. He's just like checking in, like I don't even know how you non-verbally check in, but I guess it was a quick like, "You okay?" And it was either a yes or a no, or there would be what I would call they had some kind of pre-planned excuses to step away from someone. It wasn't me, but they had some pre-planned excuses to step away, like I need to go get my drink, or I need to fill my drink, or don't we need to go get a drink? And then they would quietly leave the room, but they would come back.
It's coded language.
Yeah, very much so that.
So I think when it comes to a play space, recognize that, this is about human interaction. You're going to be dealing with other people, and you don't know what state they're in. You don't know if they're chemically altered. They could have been drinking. They could have been, taking some medication, whether it be street stuff or, over the counter. And that can affect things. One of the things I've always been concerned about, and this is just my mindset thinking more towards like emergency preparedness stuff, is you don't know who the other people are that are in the space and what can happen. So try to not put things on other individuals. Like, for instance, I know that, a fair amount of people like using poppers. However, poppers do not mix with all forms of medication that are out there. So if you're in a play space and there's poppers there, I can understand and appreciate that people want to pass it around kind of as a communal, like when I take a hit, whatever. I mean, to me, it's kind of like a joint, only it's, something you snort as opposed to something you smoke. I know it doesn't have the same effect. I'm just saying, like, that's the behavior that I see, that people just kind of, share.
Yeah.
And that's fine, but most people are pretty good about understanding when someone says no. And I like that. And I want that to be what people do, is be like, oh, cool, or whatever, just take it back. Don't turn it into a thing, like you're kind of wanting them, or forcing them to do that. Because it, can have some unfortunate consequences. And in the event, go ahead, Damon.
No. There are certain people that can't have them at all, and they have to be careful about being in the space sometimes. So that's another one of my be respectful. Like, yes, you can have poppers, but kind of keep it to your not saying keep it to yourself, but don't open a bottle of poppers and keep it open.
In case it might spill over.
Not just spill over, but it also it permeates. It comes from, even though you can walk into a room and know someone is using poppers,
right.
And depending on how often and how many people are using them, it builds.
Right.
And
well, it can, but if it's an enclosed space without good ventilation, it can kind of linger in the air. And if people are asthmatic or have problems with breathing, that could complicate stuff for them. And that's basically what I'm saying is you just don't know what everybody else's stuff is. So, if you, as you can, keep that in mind. Like, I realize some people may be like, good Lord, they're like, this is a laundry list, yay long of all these things that I've got to remember when I'm doing stuff. But it's just basic politeness in that case. And then what I was going to say is, in the event that emergency does take place, please get help immediately, from whoever that needs to take place with. If it's at an event, find the committee, find the staff, whatever it is, get it addressed ASAP. And if it's at a business, like say back room in a bar or whatever, again, go get the staff, someone, so that it can be taken care of. I realize that it's going to change things and that the mood will probably go away or whatever. But especially if it's an emergency, that's way more important than, you or another person having their nut, so to speak, because that can happen later.
You don't want someone to, like we've said, we don't know when someone has come into any kind of play space, you don't know what they've done before. Like the drunk person that's come into the space, depending on what happens, something could potentially happen medically with them. It's just, you don't know. And if something happens, or if you see something happening that you don't think is okay, check on the person, and if they need help, get help. I know it sucks to disrupt the flow, but someone's life is potentially at stake.
Right. I do want to go back to something from earlier in the chat. Sigma had asked, or kind of stated about the issue with no is no, but what about gray areas? Those who want to play, hard to get, and those that desire them. I think when it comes to this, you have to be more cautious. You just have to take the side of a no is a no, not a no is, well, maybe. Do you know what I mean? Because unless you can really get a grasp of their nonverbals and fully see them and kind of get that they're playing hard to get, which is so difficult to gauge, you know what I mean? Then I would say just be careful with that. Don't take it to a direction that it doesn't need to be or want to be, or causes more problems, so to speak.
Yeah, it's very easy. There's there's not a fine line, but there's a very thin line between I want to do something and I don't want to. And as we've mentioned before on our other shows about consent, especially in the BDSM community, you're constantly giving consent. And therefore, there could come a point where you need to stop, or you have to stop and you need to say no. So even though you're all enjoying the moment, if there comes a point where you don't want to keep going, then you can decline. You can say no. I'll own personal thing. I don't have the greatest knees. So I've been playing with someone after a while, if I'm on my knees and I'm playing with someone, there comes a point where my knees say, you need to stop. So I have to stop. And I understand that it may not be the greatest thing for the other person who's saying receiving my oral talents, but I'm going to have to stop, and I'm going to have to get up, and I'm going to have to take a moment and rest for a minute and do stuff. Give my knees a few minutes. It doesn't, no offense, it doesn't take me long to get back there into that point, but there comes a point where things start saying no, and I need to not do it. I've learned that if I push through it, it starts affecting other things. It starts affecting my enjoyment of the situation, and I'm just trying to get stuff done, and that's not really good for the other person, because they may not really be enjoying what I'm doing, because we were going a certain pace for a while at first, and then all of a sudden I'm trying to get it done just so that I can get up off my knees. And yeah.
I do want to go back to what we were discussing earlier about policing play spaces in that manner.
Right.
In a BDSM setting, there is always somebody there monitoring the play. Now, I should point out that in typical BDSM spaces, sex isn't exactly happening. There may be genitalia play, but it's not sex. So I want to make that clear. But there's always somebody that is predominantly there policing the space. And they're well known. Like, you know who these people are because they typically have on like a neon orange vest or they wear a t-shirt that says DM on it, meaning Dungeon Master. Also, when you go into play spaces in a BDSM setting, you typically have to sign in. Like, you have to meet with somebody at the doorway so they know who you are. They know who you're coming in with. They can see the type of gear that you're going in with if, you're taking stuff. And then you proceed into the room. Let me step back a moment. They tell you what is allowed and what's not allowed, and then you proceed into the room.
Uh-huh.
I'm not suggesting that a bathhouse needs to be set up like this, because you still go through this, you still go through checking in. Like, when you go to a bathhouse, they take your ID. You have to pay. There's an exchange with employees. So if you're listening and you've never been to a bathhouse and you have questions about etiquette, this is a perfect opportunity for you to do so. You are speaking directly with an employee. You can ask them right then and there do's and do nots. Going back even further to our conversation, you have to learn these things word of mouth almost, because there's nobody out there teaching these things. There's nobody out there talking about rules and etiquette. Well, we are. I don't know what the etiquette is in a play space up until I started going to them, and then once something happened and I realized, does it always happen this way? And somebody's like, no. And I was like, oh, well, then that guy's an asshole for being this way. The other reason why I was bringing up policing to this is I have been to runs where there is somebody outside the door. It's kind of like a monitor. While I agree with Gary that having somebody come into the room and break up something that's going on will affect everybody else around you. And I'm bringing it up because if you're that person that's, designated the monitor, you should have, how do I want to call it? Bedside manner. I don't know what else to say about it. Bedside manner about keeping things flowing with the room without disturbing the other attendants. That also includes the hallways leading up to the room.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Like, okay, so I like when I think of like a play space at a bathhouse, everyone kind of, like, I usually think everyone kind of knows what's going on. When I think about a play space at like we've mentioned, like at a gay campground, you know, the one like at Roseland, for example, there's a pathway to it. So I've not seen any issues with like people kind of, you know, standing there and watching and waiting for people to go in and seeing who's going in and blah blah blah. I've never experienced this really until like a bear run. Even at like play spaces or back rooms or whatever at bars, I've never had this experience of people like intentionally sort of standing there watching it for the sake of, to put it bluntly, like shaming, whether they mean to or not. But at like where there's a play space at a bear run, the issue I think becomes, no offense, I don't think people should like be right there. Like either you're gonna, you know, we've said it before, either shit or get off the pot. Like if you want to go in the room, go into the room, get your jollies, have fun, or don't, and let other people who want to use the space for its intent. If you want to stand there and look at people as they come in and out or whatever, and you want to be like, you know, give the commentary outside, like grow up, get the fuck out. Like no, like there's no need for it. Like, we're adults. The people who go in there are adults. They're doing what they want to do. They have a space where they are allowed to do it. Let them do what they want to do. There's no need for you to make a mockery or scene of whatever they're doing or what you perceive they're doing in there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's an interesting dynamic that happens sometimes socially, is that you end up with like an outside audience, quote unquote. People who are kind of watching who's coming and going, and sometimes that leads to this, like, you know, walk of shame kind of odd environment where people are, you know, passing judgment on other people or commenting or whatever, and that's not cool. You know, and where that kind of comes from. I feel like it's a challenging dynamic to deal with because it's people's personalities. You know, and I don't think the people that are exhibiting that behavior easily can understand why. It's kind of uncalled for, you know, and not necessary.
I'm giggling about that, Gary, because there is a particular run, and you know which one I'm referring to, that there is this there is this like gauntlet that you have to go through in order to get to this play space. And
that happened last year specifically because they moved the location. They put it at the end of a hallway next to a T intersection in the hotel. So it was kind of a one-way in, one-way out, where it used to be in a much more wider hallway that was more public and was easier to get in and out of. So it was harder to have a crowd, quote unquote, or as many people out there. And I noticed that happened last year, and it really turned me off personally, not only as a person who puts on events, but just as a person, like, in general, because I was like, really? Like, this isn't the new bar location where everybody just kind of hangs out and has drinks and whatever, because now you're creating a space that negatively impacts people. They don't feel comfortable. They, you know, not everyone has, you know, an air of confidence about their personality, or, you know, is maybe strong-minded, that they're kind of like, fuck all y'all, like, I don't give a shit what you think of me. Yeah. And because of that, that's why I'm like, that's really, you know, something that is discomforting to some individuals. And for me, I was kind of like, yeah, that right there. No. Yeah,
it's not cool. And and it just never, because it's not just been like we've talked about different, you know, bear run play spaces and whatever, and different formats and areas where they've been done at, and it's always been something that you're like you said, you're negatively impacting someone else's interest or desire, to do something that maybe they have been too frightened to do, or maybe they're trying to, experience the experience of it,
Well, the thing is with the dark rooms, they're supposed to be somewhat anonymous. You can go in there. If you're the type of person that does not have the self-confidence to just go up to people or elicit sex from people, a dark room is a good space for them, because then they can go in there and drop those fears of being seen and what people are going to think about them. In this particular event that I'm talking about, how they had it set up is you suddenly had to basically do a walk of shame going into the room and then a walk of shame coming out of the room. Right. It didn't bother me any. What bothered me about it was, really, all of you assholes are just going to stand out here and look up every single person that's walking by before you decide you're going to go in. And I remember I went in and I played with the person that I played with, and then I came out, and this is my personality because I'm an asshole like this. I'm like, the sex happens in there, not out here. And then I just kept on walking by the group.
I'm pretty sure I remember hearing you call that out, which I was like, well, Chester made an announcement. So, well, I mean, so here's the thing is, for this particular event, they have what I call a sex stormtrooper. It's someone who monitors the coming and going of people. And the reason they do that is because in past years they had issues with the public. In other words, non-run attendees coming in and using the space or trying to use the space as a hookup. And the committee or people in charge basically felt like, we don't mind having this space, but the only people that get to go in there are the people that are registered for the event. Hence, right. They have someone at the door. There was also a part 2 that the door kept locking, so that person had a key on them to, unlock it and let people in, which, anyways, there's ways to get around that really easily. The thing for me is, if that person's there, they represent the event, whether they are officially on the committee or just a volunteer who has, offered to do that. That person, I therefore feel, represents said event staffing and should be the one that addresses it. And the problem in this case is, I think their personality, they don't care. They like having an audience. They like, entertaining, like telling jokes and this and that. And therefore, now they've collected people, and that, is this oddity about this, gauntlet or whatever that's been created. And I admit I chose not to say anything about it because I just didn't feel like dealing with it in that moment. I mean, I can't remember exactly, but maybe I had dick on my mind. It just is, it was going to be in my room and not there. Yeah. So I think just what it comes down to is, for me, it kind of comes down to the self-policing issue of if you see something, say something. Yeah. That's really what respect and consent comes down to when you're a witness to other individuals that things are happening. If it makes you uncomfortable, it probably makes someone else uncomfortable. And then you have to make a personal decision whether you want to say something or not say something, and go from there. I think a lot of people are too timid to say something because they think that it will escalate. And then they don't know what to do then. And I can understand that they wouldn't want to say anything because I'm normally that way. Like I'm not one for, violence or inciting, people and that kind of stuff. But there's a certain point where I think it's probably when I've had to work or I've been in charge of something where it's like, all right, if I have to put my big boy panties on, then so be it. Like if I have to be the asshole, I can do it. I just don't like doing it. But, I think there's a time and a place you have to figure that out. And if you're not comfortable with doing that, then find who is, I guess, that isn't going to take it too far in addressing something in that case. But so I thought it was interesting. There was kind of some comments in the chat we wanted to circle back to about behavior stuff. One of them I thought was interesting was individuals that for them it's a free-for-all. So behaviorally, they are just trying to get every load that they can. And my feeling on that is, like, if that's you, well, that's you. It's not necessarily me, and I'm not really going to yuck your yum. I just probably will not participate. Yeah. That's a me thing, personally. If you want, if you have this hashtag goal of some sort, sorry, Chester, no offense, and you want to,
I don't have goals.
No, I was referring to the remark saying hash mark. But if you want to get 50 loads at weekend or whatever, I don't know, and that's a thing for you. That's one thing. I know it sounds like a lot, but girl, you got 3 days usually. So here's the thing though. Just know that not everyone's necessarily going to be down for that, or interested in it. And so my hope is, if you're going to do that, I hope that you're being safe, you're taking precautions, you're doing that thing, and you're not taking advantage of people who don't know any better.
Yeah.
In that case, I know for me, I'm no. I prefer to be with people that I kind of have a feeling I know how promiscuous they are, even though I really don't.
Yeah. And I think part of it, again, be respectful. Again, if someone says no or doesn't want to participate in your collection, as it were, then by all means, they say no, you move on. I've seen the guy in the room that wants to get involved in everyone and everything. And yeah, that's fine if that's what you want to do, but I'm me and you're you. If I don't want you, or I don't want anything to do with you, then you should respect me and move on. If you don't, we're going to have some problems.
Right. And I think that's why it kind of comes back to, the two main things when it comes to, a play space in terms of etiquette is, mind yourself, be respectful, make sure that you're having consent about it. But at the same time, if you see something, to say something, no matter what it is, and it is difficult because there aren't really rules that are ever posted or put anywhere. But that's why I think we wanted to have this show and discuss it, because I think there's a lot of unknown. I mean, I think in terms of when someone just comes out, there's so much they don't understand or don't know about social cues and behavior and that type of thing. And this is no different. That individuals haven't seen a play space before, know what happens. Something else I wanted to bring up real quick is most play spaces are not well lit. And that's part of that anonymity factor. I think that's an environment, kind of like a, Damon, you'd probably agree with me. It's very theatrical. You create the mood of the space by how you do certain things. I've heard really bad stories. I think we've already talked about it on a previous show, a previous episode, about an event where we went where it was fucking pitch black dark. And I was like, oh, hell no. You need some type of lighting, be it night lights or down light, I don't know, whatever. Something that gives people the ability to kind of see. And I understand that's not everybody's gig. I have a great many friends that are like, I need to see their face. I need to see the person that I'm hooking up with. And that might be part of that gauntlet issue, why people are standing outside, because they want to be able to know what a person looks like before they continue on and do anything. And I understand that, but that's kind of not exactly what I think in terms of a dark play space is kind of meant to be in that case. So I think that we're very visual people, but at the same time we have to take into account some of that, that's happening and what's going on.
I am in that category of needing to see their face.
And I've been in I don't need to all the time. It adds a different element to what, if we're doing something, it adds a different element to it, where if I've seen your face, I can kind of get a better sense of you, but I don't have to. But the main thing for me with regards to some kind of light is more safety than etiquette. I don't want someone, like we've talked about before, if there's an issue, let's do something, but let's try to make it so that there's little issues as possible. If you have a play space room that you haven't cleared out in some way to make it so that there's clear-ish, here you go here to here to get in and out, then you're going to have problems. And yes, there's the occasional like you walking over someone or stepping on someone's toes or what have you, that can happen because the room is not lit enough. But if you have a completely dark room, there's going to be more than that. Someone's going to hit a wall. Someone's going to knock their face into, hit a wall. Someone's going to fall over someone because they can't see them at all. There needs to be something, whether it's natural, like outside kind of light peeking through a window, or not overhead, but like a light in the corner somewhere to kind of give some kind of space. I know some places have done like the rope lights, etc. It's just something that needs to be there.
Right. I think that some play spaces are organized and put together by people who take into account safety and concern and practicality. I've been to play spaces where there are, condoms and lube available. I've been to play spaces where there's nothing available. I went to an event that was bear and leather crossover that I was highly impressed that one person put together, I think it was 7 different theme rooms that were all play spaces. Oh, yeah. And
where's this? I want to go.
We'll talk later about it. And so there was a part of me that was like, damn. And I was like, this is some serious, commitment.
Yeah.
But understandably, not all of them were technically for sex, but could happen in any of them. So it was just one of these things where I was like, wow, this is really interesting. But so I think the biggest thing is, just like one bear run does not represent all bear runs, one play space does not represent all of them, as well as the behaviors that, take place, in that case. So I think there was something else from the chat we were going to...
Greg had asked us, would you agree that the concept of self-entitlement or over self-importance of the space attendees play a large role in their behavior?
Interesting.
I would
think so.
I want to twist it slightly and just say that everyone's internal vision of themselves is what gets played out. So if you have a lot of self-confidence, that's what comes out. If you don't have confidence or just, base confidence, that's behaviorally what kind of comes forward. I wonder if what Greg is asking about more is people who are beyond.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They want to be the center of attention or
something. I've seen that before, and I've seen it in 2 ways, and I'll try to briefly explain one. One is the I'll go ahead, the egotistical guy that thinks they're God's gift to every man on the planet. Therefore, that plays into their personality where they feel as though they can come into a play space and pick and choose whatever they want, which yes, you can in a sense, but not in this almost I'm declining everyone in here because I am better than all of you. That is where I'm no, that doesn't work. Again, to me, a play space is a free space, and sometimes you don't always. The anonymity helps. You don't always necessarily play with someone that. It sounds terrible, but in the light of day, you wouldn't necessarily play with. It's just one of those. It's another anonymous factor to this room, to this space. The other ones are the ones that, no offense, have either come into the space or come into the run or event, looking to take advantage of someone, and those are the ones that are big no's. The first example is a hustler. I actually experienced a hustler in a play space. There were people all around us doing stuff. He came up to me. He kind of reached over and he kissed me for a little while. And then he was like, you want to do something else? And I was like, sure. And he goes, oh, well, you're da-da-da. And I was like, you're going to have to pay for it. I'm like, oh.
I saw somebody post this the other day about their growler conversation.
Yeah.
The guy was talking to him, then he's like, oh yeah, by the way, I cost this much money. And I'm like, Or the guy who's like, I'm already on Growler. I can get free dick from any one of these people.
I can literally, like, and in that space, I was like, really? Like, you really think you can do that right now? When I can literally walk an inch or 6, and there's a guy right there. Second,
Jim is right now, David.
Yeah. Well, Jim is outside, actually.
Or walk across the room to the glory holes, and I can find dick in there.
Or whatever. Anyway, so there's that, and then there's the worst ones, which are the ones that kind of are mentally and physically abusive of people, and they want to take advantage or overarch someone else because that's their power tripping.
I think that ties in
all ego thing for these people, so it's not just the play space thing.
Yeah.
Agreed.
It definitely affects it.
I think that ties into something that Drew had said. It was kind of brought up before. I don't know if it was by him, but circling back around is just because you're in a space doesn't mean that you're a willing participant. So because you're in a play space, don't presume that 100% of the bodies that are there want to participate. Some people literally are voyeurs and get off on watching other people. They don't have to touch you. They don't have to interact with you. And yeah, that might seem a little uncomfortable. Like if you're playing with someone and someone else walks over and just watches, like you might not be okay with someone just standing there and watching. You might have a personality that's like, all right, either you participate or go away. And you won't necessarily say that, but I think if you pay attention, you can kind of catch that, that difference. Speaking of people who like to watch, I will just say this for the record, please don't be obtrusive. Like if you're going to watch, that's one thing, that's fine. You want to be a voyeur if that's your thing, but there is probably nothing more annoying than somebody who gets up in your business. It doesn't mean that they want to be in it. Like they just, they basically are all like, and they're all like, and I mean, I've seen guys that are kind of like that. And sometimes that turns into them wanting to direct or whatever, or comment. Yeah. There's a part of me, it's like, I don't need you to talk about how great my dick sucking skills are.
I know.
You can tell. I already know. Like, you don't need to announce it. Just,
I don't need a director. I know what I'm doing. I'm experienced.
So,
like, I know what the fuck I'm doing. Like, don't tell me what to do. And on that note, one of my big ones, and it'll go into, is don't push me in regards to like one of my big, in any play space I've ever been in, do not put your hands on my head unless you're the person that I'm doing it with and I've given you the okay.
Oh, right. So basically that's the crossing the line issue of you are now inserting yourself into someone else's thing, and you should probably try to understand whether or not that's okay. The general rule is no, unless you get permission, which I know sounds weird because nobody really walks up to other people and is like, hey, can I play too? It's just kind of you sort of figure it out as you go. But no, I agree with you, Damon. Like you don't get to direct, and you also don't get to, just insert yourself or kind of like take control and dom the situation. It's like, no, unless it was, pre-set up that way, that's no. Like that's not your role, and that's not what, we're going to do here.
See, this is one of those gray area things, because if I were in that situation, if I was doing something, some guy came behind me and pushed my head down into the guy, if I was blowing somebody and pushed my head down, my first reaction would be, no, you're not allowed to do that. But if I turn around and go, wait, you can because you're fucking hot, keep doing it.
But yeah, like I said, like give it a second. But for me, no. But for you, okay,
no. We have the same reaction, the same initial reaction.
Yeah,
I think everybody's initial reaction would be the same: is no, you can't do that, and then they need more information before they can, to assess the situation, and then the next step is taken.
Right. Basically, we're going back to the consent and respect. Like, respect the individuals, and you need to have some consent to participate or to get involved. And granted, like, most people aren't very verbal to this level, and this is kind of what I think Ray pointed out when he was on as a guest, when we talked about the differences between leather and bear events, and we did the consent and respect. He talked about how leather events are very much, like, aware of these concepts as protocols, and bear events are not. And it's not that one's right and one's wrong. It's about the culture is different between the two communities. And I think that goes into the play space as well. Like, if most play spaces, or if not all, in bear runs are for sex. It is not a scene, quote unquote, or something of that sort. So I think that's another piece of it, that you want to make sure that you're paying attention to, I guess, in that case.
So, to kind of sum up here, and when I'm taking for this, because really the only play space I've ever been was about almost 10 years ago, in October, 10 years ago, I think. It was at a campground. It was just us bears from the hot bears down here. So some etiquette for play spaces and what to expect. Expect that you may be watched, for one thing. So if you want to have sex with somebody and you don't want anybody to watch, don't go to a play space. Go to your own room.
That's actually good advice.
Yes. 2, always be respectful, and it seems like it's more of a quieter sort of thing. I think somebody mentioned don't ask if you can participate. Use body language. Well, why not in a quiet thing? Do you mind? Can I join? It can be something, or even just like a tap on the shoulder or somebody, just kind of like to get their attention, and then you can give some more body gestures of how to do it. Because to me, the dark space, the noises that should be in that room, or what I'm expecting to be in that room, would be more of the sounds of sex, and just quiet. Oh yeah, oh, that feels so good. But quiet. You're not trying to be loud. It's supposed to be anonymous and kind of quiet. I mean, sure, you're gonna get the on occasion, but you're
gonna get that, definitely.
There's gonna be multiple people there. I kind of disagree on the whole thing of you can go into this room and those shy people can just kind of let it all out, because sometimes it's just hard, even being in the dark, to let it all out.
Yeah.
So you don't have to go into a play space only if you want to, and if you build up the desire and courage to go into there. And sure, you can have somebody, hold your hand along the way, but it's something you gotta have these expectations of what's going to happen in that dark room beforehand. And the big thing is about just being courteous and to the people you're playing with. And when we say no means no, if you're gonna have that whole hard to get, like, oh no, I don't want you to do that, sarcastic sort of way, where yes you do, but you are saying the no, that's for another room. That's not for this type of room. I don't think it is.
Yeah. That's
so
really
the
true. whole
hard to get thing, that's a different play space. It could be something you find the person there and then you take them to the other play space, but not a play space, if you know what I mean.
So I have one final rule, and it's very important. Sorry to say it, but clean yourself up. Meaning, like, if you want to do something and you need that area to be taken care of, you should get that area taken care of before you enter a play space. Like, either area, and that can include, no offense, your mouth too. Like, yeah, like everything should be not spick and span, obviously, but clean yourself up. But
no one
'cause
wants to come out of that room after getting a blowjob and seeing that their dick is all orange from your Cheeto eating.
Exactly. Just clean yourself up, because it and in certain sense are distracting, and certain sense can be boner killers, depending on the person. So, yeah, I just wanted to. That's been in my head the whole time, and I've been trying to figure out how to put it in there. But this is just the way. Just clean.
Yeah, I think preparing yourself both mentally, which is a lot of what we've been talking about, and I think, Damon, what you're saying is physically. Before you go to this space, just check yourself. And if you know that you're going to plan on doing things, or even if you don't know if you're going to do things, but there's a possibility, just do a little freshen up. Or if you happen to have been recently eating, wash your hands, maybe wipe your mouth. If you're planning on being very serious in your play or whatever, you may want to take a few minutes to do things in your room, say if you're at a bear run, and use the various versions of preparation for, cleaning and that kind of stuff. So, yeah.
And clean this area too. If you want to get your dick sucked, you want to have your dick area clean. I'm sorry, but I've run into far too many people, especially in a play space, that think it's okay to have been walking around and running around all day and not done anything down there, and they're sweaty and gross. And there's a certain point for someone who may like those scents that it goes beyond.
So basically, just take a shower before you go to the play space.
Well, you don't have to take a shower. I think what David is saying is there's a certain line where people are kind of into some funk, just
quick.
The daily whatever, and then then it's just a little bit too much. I do have to say, because Drew's commenting, he said, "Damn it, Papa Tic Tac already," which is a reference to breath, with your mouth, Listerine, that kind of stuff. In that case, and speaking of cleaning, the other thing I want to say is be respectful of the space. And by that I mean, if you use condoms, lube, if there are paper towels or, whatever, please use the trash receptacles. I realize maybe you can't see them, but they should probably be located near the exit, or, a bunch of them conveniently around, because, somebody has to clean up after your ass. And usually, in my frame of mind, it is not the housekeeping staff that has to deal with that. It's usually the event committee or business, where that type of a thing. So don't be nasty about it and just leave stuff all over the place. At least make an effort to take care of those things.
Take your bottles and whatever you take with you as well. If you come in with something like a cup or whatever, take it with you.
Why are you bringing a cup into the play space?
To piss in.
Okay.
Because you're
to somebody.
Okay, never mind.
All right. So
he's got a point there. I can't dispute that.
Yeah, what I was gonna say is, because you're at an event and you're busy cocktailing, so you came from the party, the whatever, the bar, something.
Or you're at the bar.
I like
you're
my
drinking your beer. I like your response too, Chester. But I think you're you're at a bar and you're drinking. And you just
think of the accidents that could happen from that, and I'm not just talking about a glass breaking if it's actual glass, but do you want to be sucking somebody's cock and then all of a sudden somebody spills their cocktail on you because they tripped over your foot because you were kneeling? I mean, really, these are the reasons why, unless you have a specific intent used for the cup in the play space, just leave your cocktails in the room or finish them before you get there.
Right. I agree with you, Jeff. If you can think ahead, it's really about preparation. Just kind of think ahead a little bit and be like, oh, I think I'm going to go visit this room. I should probably eat this slice of pizza, finish this bag of chips, or these corn nuts, or this Snickers bar, or whatever the hell it is. You know what I mean? And, let me finish my, my White Castle sliders.
Oh.
And my slushie, whatever it is, so that it's not an issue when you get in there.
I suppose you could use White Castle for lube.
No!
Sure.
No.
Sounds like a scene that Ray would be in, but that's just me.
Bad.
Wrong.
Bad
Anyway,
puppy.
I think we should move on.
All right, hey. So we're talking about getting Nick. Let's. Where's fuck? Let's go talk about seeing Nick.
I'll tumble for you. I'll tumble for you. I'll tumble for you. I'll tumble.
That's all I gotta say about that. Oh, here's the chat. There's the link.
Oh my.
I know this. Oh, I love these guys. So yeah, he's
Well, hello there, barrel-chested.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
I was just about to describe him as just that. And also, look what the underwear isn't hiding.
he's
Oh.
actually wearing a singlet.
It's a singlet.
Oh, is
Mhm.
it? Even well, still, it's not hiding.
Hey,
It's not.
I have one comment to make about this photo that has nothing to do with him, but I'll save it till the end. Let's get done drooling with him first.
Okay.
Yeah. So I know these guys. They're a triad in I think San Francisco or San Diego.
Oh!
They're in California. Yeah, you know who they are. You know who they are.
Yeah, I'm going to type his name in Skype.
By the way, all you people who are wondering what all these
Yes.
twerp or these twips are, it's our Skype chat. Sorry, I can't figure out a way to work around that. So, anyway.
It's okay. But yeah,
Wow.
they're great looking guys and they're super fucking hot and he's no exception to that. Just yum. Is a perfect yeah. Yeah.
So
You were saying Chester, or do you want us to go
Oh,
to all of them?
No, he's yeah. That's yeah. That's going on my porn blog later. No, I have a serious question. Where do I find a bed frame like that?
Now I gotta go back and look at the picture again. 'Cause
Yeah.
I closed it.
Oh, I
didn't
know,
I
I
have a
need that for-
Tumblr pic like last time that mentioned something about it? Anyways.
I don't know if that's as strong as you think it is.
I want it for bondage.
I know why
Right,
you want it. Yeah.
I had a feeling you it's for roughness, like as far as physical exertion, activity. I don't know.
I'd have to.
I don't know.
could-
I would think that would probably be as strong as my bed frame, but better because it's got the open slats there.
I like how we're
I think you're probably
gone from talking about his dick to, hey, look at this bed frame.
look.
Man,
We were talking
oak.
about more than his dick. We were talking about his chest, his belly, his
What
dick, his
do with his
cellulite.
dick on this bed.
Yeah, I think it's probably
Yeah, I don't know.
fine. I think it'll be fine.
Obviously, Chester, you just need to post a Facebook, poll for yourself and ask
I do.
recommendations for
I'll use this photo.
beds.
Okay. Are we ready to move on?
Okay.
Yeah, what's your
Damon, what do you
pick,
got?
Damon?
So I thought we were talking about the other one, but this one is appropriate. So Den Daddy is what I called this guy, and just yeah,
Wow.
yeah, leather capped, leather gloved, leather suspenders, I believe leather boots, jeans, and the shirt. And the best part for me is the fact that you get a little bit of belly out from under the shirt.
The slightly too small shirt.
Yeah. Just a little too tight, but that's okay. And then obviously the sunglasses, it's a perfect, love it.
I love it when somebody has arms and a nice belly.
Yeah. Me too. And this just is.
That's what I want in this world is the belly full, strong man. I don't ask for much. Sugar daddy,
Wow.
preferably, but that's not that's a requirement.
Ha. All right.
Moving on.
Chester.
Mine I titled New Harness.
Nice.
I'm gonna say this. I'm sorry, I'm just reading his hashtags really quick. He doesn't mention anything about being a bear, but I'd label him as a cub.
Yeah.
It's this thinner, cubbish guy wearing a blue harness and a blue jockstrap, and he has edited his photo to only show the blueness, and everything else is black and white. And yeah, it looks really good on him.
Stone
Really good
Arch
pictures.
a Bridge is, I think, that's the Tumblr it looks like. It's a good photo, and it's a good looking harness on him, and a good jock, and he's got a nice butt.
He does have a nice butt.
I know, right?
And it looks like he's got some pretty good nipples too,
Yeah.
and kissable.
Yes, he looks like he would be fun. Wow. Okay. And reblog.
Gary, how about you?
All right, so my Tumblr pick is actually more meant to be a whole Tumblr account as opposed to a single post. But I put in a post that led me to now following. It's randy/tunes.tumblr.com, but in it he says, "I'm Randy Meeks, conquering the world one geeky gay porn comic at a time. It's a shitty plan, I know. Enjoy. Everything here is 18 plus, not safe for work. Duh." And then he blogs and he has other stuff, and he does doesn't do commissions, but he puts stuff on shirts and all sorts of crap to sell, kind of like our Zazzle stuff. But this completely distracted me on Facebook recently because it was July 4th, and someone posted the first picture, which is his cartoon of Captain America, and it says, "I put Dom in freedom." And so it's a rendering or a cartoon like drawing of Steve as Captain America with just the hat and a capital A jockstrap, and a harness of sorts and a belt in his hand and gloves, and he says, "Now turn around and bend over." But he has two versions of this one. He has one with the jockstrap and then one with a huge dick with a costume around it.
Which makes you wonder, how did he tuck that?
Very, very
compared to
carefully.
the two, like.
There's this thing called grower, not a shower. So
Also true.
yeah, the fact that he does this, like,
But
it
those
is
balls.
so. Yeah, I know. So the fact that maybe the jockstrap is made of some special material that he got from Tony Stark. I don't know. Anyways, the thing is that he
Mr.
takes
Fantastic.
these comic, like, kind of science fiction, pop culture, like these iconographic, characters and stuff, and he really kind of twists them. And I love the fact that he is just basically really fucking with people with putting this stuff out there. He's got this whole series about Clark Kent and Batman being lovers, or at least fuck buddies. I mean, there's a lot of it. It kills me to no end. It cracks me up. But I also really like his artistry. I think this is great stuff. So you can get iPhone cases with some of the images on them, T-shirts, and all sorts of stuff. So that's why I'm more focusing on his entire Tumblr account as opposed to just this one particular thing. But this is what led me here. I was kind of like, what? Because I love that line. I put Dom in freedom. But
Yeah. Yeah. Woo.
Okay.
All right.
Moving on to our links.
I'm totally distracted. So.
Extracted. Anyways. Chester, what do you got for our link?
It is to my friend Justin. It's his Tumblr account. It's Leonaro1224 on Tumblr. What I like about it is he fetishizes underwear and jocks, and every time he gets a new pair, he models them. And a lot of the times, you will see him taking them off while he models them.
Hello.
And they're fun.
I'm already following you. Lucky me.
wait, I think I know all three of them. maybe.
Well, I don't know who you know and who you don't know, but I know two of them. I don't know his. He's married to
Kevin,
his husband Kevin, and they're in a triad with another person named Mike. I don't know Mike personally.
I don't think I know Mike, but I met Kevin before when Kevin lived in Ohio, because I think he moved to be with.
That sounds correct.
Yeah. So interesting. Very interesting. Because I'm kind of like, I recognize. Because I think for a while Kevin and Mike Kevin and Justin were in a different triad for a time with someone else I know. Interesting.
Well, I am not paying attention to any of that because I'm just looking at them everywhere.
Scroll. Go more. Scroll. Go more.
Yeah. Okay. Gary?
Okay, so this one is a funny. If you don't know, RuPaul's Drag Race Season 9 concluded, and one of the contestants had a medical thing that they had to leave and have surgery, and they're coming back in Season 10. Her name is Eureka O'Hara, and she is from Tennessee. She's a big girl, y'all, and they've got her on a YouTube video reading Craigslist misconnections. and if you are a longtime listener, lover of Cubs Out Loud, you will know that many years ago we used to do a Craigslist section where we would read and compete against each other for posts from Craigslist. And it cracks my ass up to no end. I'm even doing a southern accent now because this video really amused me because Eureka just spills all the tea and with this phone and reading these Craigslist posts that they had, I think, supplied to her, and she comments. And she's also very open about her practices and things with people. So it would amuse me to no end. So if you would like a good laugh. Uh-oh. You all right there, Damon?
Sorry. Nothing. Just... What, Chester? Sorry, it caught me off guard.
Go on.
Go on, Gary. Go ahead.
So, yeah, that's my pick is to watch Eureka read out loud Craigslist misconnections stuff.
Yeah. I'm going to hear this. I haven't heard it, but you posted it to us a bit ago, and I want to actually listen to it. So I'm going to keep the video up and watch it after we're done. Because I remember those times when we used to do that, and
they could be kind of weird.
It was weird. It got really weird.
Maybe we need to have a show where we do that again, just for old time's sake.
I think to revisit it can be fun. I think it became difficult because we were doing it every week.
Yeah.
And that's where it was like, how do I find another, pick of some sort or whatever post?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something to think about.
I want to see more pictures of that guy. Anyways, sorry, different conversation. Guess what, folks? It's the end of the show. Aw. For you watching live, stay tuned for us rereading a thing. And you probably already heard the thing if you're listening to the audio show, so that's all right. But there's plenty of ways to contact us. Pop over to our website, cubsoutloud.com. Shoot us an email at cubsoutloud@gmail.com. Leave us a voicemail, sexy or otherwise, at 361-COL-TALK. That's 361-265-8255. Follow us on Facebook, Tumblr, Twitter, and Google+, and, of course, YouTube, where you can actually watch these shows or live or after the fact. Too. I don't edit them, so you get to see the whole shebang, which you don't necessarily hear in the thing. And of course, there's Skype chat. Going off, you can pop over to thebearunderground.net where you can join the Cubs Out Loud Entourage group. There's also a Facebook group called COL Entourage. Just to let you know.
Maybe he wants a link to. Sorry, I realized we're still recording.
Yeah, Jeff's trying to do the end of the show, in case you weren't paying attention.
I'm not.
We noticed.
If you listen to us on our iTunes, give us a rating there. More people rate us, the more people find us. You could also subscribe to us through Google Play Podcasts. Listen to us on Stitcher Radio. Give us a thumbs up. Find me anywhere on the internet as Boxset, Box Puppy, Box Cub, Box something or other. Box Cub specifically on WBear if you're searching for me there.
I am Theater Cub 79 on Bear on the Ground, Tumblr, Growler, and Facebook, or you can find me as pup_Umbra on Twitter.
Sorry, I was reading the chat. I meant to type it out, and I had a brain aneurysm, and I decided to talk.
Lovely. Where can they find you, Chester?
You can find me on Tumblr or Twitter under the name The Pup Up There, or various bear dating sites across the net under the name Pup Shutter or Cupcake76.
And you can pretty much find me anywhere on the web as GareBear73.
And with that, Jesus Christ. Say goodnight, everybody!
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Have a good one, y'all.
Start the show walking at the end of the show walking.
Still recording.
Gary, talk about that picture that I sent to the group chat. It's because the picture that Damon was talking about in his Tumblr links, that's his boyfriend. So I recognized his boyfriend, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just message him.
I didn't know that you knew him to message him directly.
Oh, well, Damon said he thinks that he knows him, and I said his name in our chat.
Right, but that's like me saying, Bill Clinton. I know of Bill Clinton. It doesn't mean I know Bill Clinton to immediately reach out and contact him. So I was confused when you sent us the screenshot that he instantly replied to what we just talked about. And I'm like, wait a minute. How the hell does he even know that we were discussing this?
Right, gotcha. Oh,
yeah.
I know who he is.
You know?
Yep. I know.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's cute, too.
Who
is?
Julio.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They're all. Like,
all three of them are fucking gorgeous.
I'm going to see if I can find I'm trying to find their Tumblr, and I'm trying to see if there's a picture of all three of them.
Cubby, Daddy, Bear, Daddy.
Yeah. I know.
Aw. Thanks, Sigma.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just saw that from him.
And he'll hear it in like 20 seconds.
I'm trying to catch up on all these messages that were coming through from stuff. I'm like, what in the world is all this?
I just need a picture of all three of you. Well, usually the pictures of all three are on. Well.
Yeah, we could take some of this offline, but first, do you want to try to get at the recording of the commercial?
Yeah, we can. This is too funny. So, when I get notifications on Tumblr that someone's following me, I check out their profile. Just because if it's spam, I block it. And I have to laugh because Tumblr has, whoever programs Tumblr or used to program Tumblr, I don't know if it's still there, puts cute little things in there. And this one cracks me up. It says, this little Tumblr hasn't posted anything yet. And I'm like, really? Like, this isn't like little pigs. Like, I mean, well, it can't. But, okay, y'all haven't posted anything, but I'm looking at all your likes, and no. All right. Okay, so we're gonna go back and do a take 2 on the commercial then.
Let's give David a moment to reread, get into character. Give him a moment for Chester to join the dock again.
Oh, something. Hold on.
Who dis? Oh my.
It's a new phone.
I have to pee before we do it.
Okay. I'll go pee too while you're doing that.
Sorry, that just amused me in a tying to our topic of respect and consent. So Jeff, are we no longer live on YouTube?
I think he's muted, which is what I'm going to do.
We're still
That's
live.
We just don't appear to have a video feed anymore. So.
Or maybe, yeah. Well, I'll be back too then, since everyone else is gone.
So how's your day going, Gary? It's going great. So we recorded a podcast. All 3 of my co-hosts apparently had to empty their bladders at the same time. So that left me to be the only one behind, which if we're still live for audio, and everybody's like, what's going on?
Okay, I'm back. What did I miss?
I had asked the question if we were still live on YouTube, but
Yes.
But not video, just audio.
Just audio.
Okay.
I could have left my mic on so you could hear me pee.
I don't think any of us actually flagged yellow, except maybe for you. I don't know for you. I don't speak for you on that.
Yeah, mine, I would have done the same thing, just out of more of a politeness kind of thing. Well, that's interesting.
I wouldn't care. It's just that I don't flag that. That's all.
Member of 149 groups on Facebook? Seriously?
No.
And they're not necessarily a bot. They've been around for over 2 years, but good gravy.
Maybe they're a 2-year-old bot.
Some people use Facebook as their platform for, what do you call it?
Yeah, well, the reason, like, when they
News
started
groups.
join
That's
the
what it is.
group, yeah, that's why we admin all our posts, unfortunately, or moderate them, because
I created a new doc for COL423, and the only reason why I created it is to put Sigma Wolf's last comment in it for feedback.
gotcha.
So when you're looking at the doc, make sure you go through it with a fine-tooth comb in case I didn't change things like dates or times. But I think I got it all.
Okay. All right, so now that, Damon, you're back, right?
Mhm.
Okay. Interestingly, Rosalind just posted a picture today. They now carry harnesses of shirts in their... So you'll end up seeing that, I guess, when you get there.
What was that? You cut out there for a sec.
Roseland Campground. They now carry leather harnesses and short sleeve shirts apparently in their store.
I have seen that picture, or maybe not. But yeah, I just, by the way, I posted I knew they had a picture of all three of them.
Well,
Damon, you sound
that
different.
Links to the, that links to their entire Tumblr, so.
Yeah. But the first picture is the three of them together.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I've ever seen them before, to be honest, which may sound weird.
I know.
They were at Tidal Wave.
Yeah, they were a Tidal Wave. I know them through David Dualwood, who's been on our show.
Mm-hmm.
The Julio is his, or was, I don't, is or was his sir, or going to be his sir, or something along those lines. I don't know if, and again, I've given what David has posted, I don't know if that's still the case, but I think it might be. I'm not 100% sure. So yeah. But then, you know, through Julio, I've connected with the other two guys. I think they're Kyle and something else.
What other two guys are you talking about?
In the picture.
Julio's boyfriend.
Yeah.
Oh, Kevin.
William and Kyle. William and Kyle.
Oh, no, I'm confusing with the other couple, or triad. Never mind.
Yeah. I think William is the cub. Yeah. Yeah, William's the cub. Who's, yeah.
Chester, can you copy that link over to the chat?
The link to...
Okay.
The link in the Skype chat over to the YouTube chat. For me, it's on two different devices. That's why I can't do it.
Oh! Yeah, I see what you're saying now.
I got
Is
it.
this better?
In terms of your mic?
Volume? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just the first time you came back, it was weird.
Well, it was up like here.
Yeah.
So. So are we still? No, we're not. Yeah, we are still live.
Yes, because we were going to record a thing.
Okay. I just didn't know we were still live on the chat or the YouTube, whatever.
That's how I record things.
Okay, I just didn't know.
It's the change with the setup from the way we used to do it before, months ago, for a long time. Anyways, Sigma, I know this is going to annoy you, but I'm sorry. So in Skype, for those of you guys that can see it, this is the guy that said hello to me on the app that I was like, who you? I don't know if you guys can see that very well.
It's a bit blown out, but...
Get an idea.
You're not going to be able to fix it. So the way the camera picks up the picture.
Let me see if I can do this.
That's fine. We saw most of it.
We can tell what he looks like. For the most part.
God, I got rid
Go
of this.
away. I don't want you, whatever you are.
Anyways.
Ugh, dismiss all cards. My God, that was annoying. Whoa.
Not me.
Oh, that might be me. Hold on. Did it go away and come back?
Yeah, went away and came back. Yes.
So that's my air conditioner.
That's frightening.
It doesn't happen all the time. Just some of the time. And I don't know why it does that.
Yeah, it sounds like the compressor or something's gonna go.
Yeah, that's a. Good.
Thank you for muting till that's done.
There we go.
For the most
Are you
part,
still
yeah.
Are
here?
you still hearing it?
Yes.
Yeah. But not nearly as bad. Ooh. Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna mute.
Now we can't hear you.
There we go.
Yeah. All right.
I just turned it off for now. Okay, are we ready? Can we do this thing?
Yep.
All right. Yeah, whenever you're ready, Dave.
Now, whoever thought we'd be doing commercials?
I know I sure as heck didn't.
Being that we're a smaller scale podcast, we don't have advertisers knocking down our door to give us money, and that's okay.
Which is why we want to take a moment and tell you about two really great ways you can support Cubs Out Loud.
Over the past 9 years, COL has produced hundreds of audio episodes, and now we have matching video episodes for you to enjoy.
This year, we introduced the new COL logo and launched our new merch store over at zazzle.com/cubsoutloud.
Or you can also use the COL merchandise link on our podcast website to pull up the online store.
Here you can take a look at through a range of products, including t-shirts, hats, poker chips, underwear, backpacks, and various other things with the COL logo on them.
And keep an eye out for new things to be added based on your interests and requests.
We typically can be found showing these great items off in the video stream of our shows.
Also to help with our new format, we're doing YouTube video shows that help create the audio version. We have a GoFundMe campaign underway at gofundme.com/COLstream.
This campaign allows us to afford upgrading the PC that Jeff uses to produce our shows. Plus, a better computer means better quality streams.
And thanks in advance for not only listening to Cubs Out Loud, but helping support the podcasts too.
There we go. That works. I'm good. We're fine. Everything's fine here. How are you?
Are you gonna have put that? Is that like gonna be your epitaph? What's so funny, Chester?
Because it's from Star Wars.
Right. I've said that before.
You say it all the time.
I
That's why
know.
I said, is that gonna be your epitaph?
I've never heard him say it before.
Really?
Oh my God, he says it almost every episode of our show.
Anywho,
He doesn't say the whole thing. He usually says, "Everything's fine here. How are you?"
anywho.
I'm gonna stop searching.
Rest in peace, Han Solo.
Oh, too soon. I'm kidding.
Really?
Is it ever too soon to say rest in peace to somebody who died? I mean, really?
I meant. Never mind. Don't worry about it. I thought it was a joke. I'm good.
Streaming.